It's Wednesday, April 15th. My name's Juan Brown, and you're watching the Blanco Lirio channel. Welcome back to the studio. We're finding out that airline pilots are a dime a dozen now that the global fleet is grounded. And we're finding that the real heroes during this pandemic are the folks, well, of course, on the front line, all the healthcare workers that are on the front line dealing with this virus, and also all the folks that work in the food supply chain, all the way from the farmer in his field, all the way through the transportation and ground logistics folks, to the folks working in the grocery stores that are keeping the groceries on the table. So today I reached out to friend Matt Sligar of Rice Farming TV. He's a rice farmer, a Northern California rice farmer. You've probably seen him before on this channel. And I was able to get a hold of him through a Facebook chat, and I want to play that recording for you now. I messed it up. I didn't hit this transition button properly, and so I captured the audio like that, but not the video like that until the very last moment. So let me put up the still picture here. So do not adjust your set. It's not a frozen picture. It's a still that I put up, and I'm going to get this audio rolling for you, and then you'll see at the very end of this recording, I finally get it right. So let's tune in with Matt Sligar, Rice Farming TV here in Northern California, and see how things are impacting him and his operation. So far, so good.
Oh yeah, JB.
There you are. Hey, now you know it's a crime against humanity to film in portrait mode. Flip that phone sideways, and I want to see the whole happy face. There you go. That's a professional. Way to go. Down the road with Matt Sligar. Are you moving from one field to the next?
We're on the road, JB.
Awesome. So, for those of you just joining us, this is Matt Sligar of Rice Farming TV fame. Airline pilots these days are a dime a dozen, but the real heroes in today's story are the farmers that are putting the food on the table despite all the economic issues that are going on right now. So, Matt, tell us what's going on with rice farming in the Northern California.
JB, those were very kind words spoken. I hope I'm coming through clearly.
You are.
The tractor I'm in is all revved up. Once I get to the location I'm headed to, I will pop out, and hopefully our feed will be a little cleaner, and I can focus a little bit better. You did catch me driving on the road, so what we're doing is we're hopping from one field to the other, and we're starting quite generally the tractor work to prepare our soil to plant our 20 and 20 rice crop here in Northern California, about 20 miles southwest of Lake Oroville Dam, our water source.
Great. And so when do you start seeding, Matt?
Well, I anticipate we'll be seeding by the end of next week. So maybe not this Friday, but next Friday.
And so that's all aerial seeding. You'll be using your local flying service there. Yeah.
That is correct. That is all done by air. We fly on 165 pounds of rice seed per acre in the spring, and later in the fall we will harvest 10,000 pounds per acre. So that gives you an idea of the productivity we have out here in Northern California in rice country.
And as we've discussed before, you borrow the water from the Oroville complex through the Thermalito afterbay that warms the water up to a temperature that's desirable for you rice farmers, and then you just simply borrow it. I mean, you use a lot, but a lot of it is recycled back into the watershed.
That's right. It either subs down into the water table or it moves on down the irrigation canals and rivers and creeks, and it'll make its way down south. If it's not picked up at the San Joaquin Valley and pumped further down south, it'll head out under the Golden Gate Bridge into the Pacific Ocean.
And of course, it goes through all kinds of mitigation before it leaves your fields.
Totally. Absolutely. That,
So, with the current economic situation, how's it impacting your ability to farm right now? Are you being impacted?
well, not not really. With this whole COVID thing, I'm pretty much doing what I would normally do because whether there's a huge outbreak or not, I am self isolating this time of the year every year. I'm all by myself in a tractor. I'm driving 12 hours per day, going around in circles in the fields, preparing the soil, and it's just me in this tractor. So, in terms of lifestyle, not affected. In terms of the economics, whether the price of rice will go up or go down, I anticipated we're going to do well this year because the mills who are taking our rice and preparing it for end products, whether that's milling the rice down to make white rice or brown rice or rice cereals or cakes or whatever they're making, they're out of stock. The 2019 rice crop has been used or it's been purchased. We don't have it in storage. So pretty soon here, people are going to be looking forward to receiving our 2020 rice crop. And as simple economics tell you, with a lack of supply, the demand goes up, the price goes up. So we have a good outlook for the 2020 rice crop here domestically. However, internationally, we could take a hit on that end because exports aren't moving. Ships aren't moving out of docks
Right.
as much as they normally would. California rice exports 50% of our crop to South Korea, to Japan, to the Middle East, depending on the political situation and atmosphere. So we could see a hit internationally with our exports. However, domestically, we should see a nice peak. But I imagine people buying staples as they are here in the United States are doing the same abroad. So hopefully they will be needing our rice.
And all that you got featured on Rice Farming TV, your YouTube channel, right? All those
That
details.
that is correct. This is my third full rice season on YouTube, and I'm doing, I think, a little bit better job keeping people up to date on a weekly basis on showing everything that's going on here. And it's been really fun, and I've gotten a lot of great feedback. And of course, want to appreciate your support. You've always been so interested, and it's just a pleasure talking about rice. So thank you for giving me the platform here with you.
Well, you're an absolute integral part of this whole story all the time, whether we're talking about Oroville, water, Northern California, or feeding the world. You're doing it.
Well, thank you, and you're informing the world and informing Northern California specifically. And I caught onto your channel because of that. And so it's, again, just a real pleasure being with you. And thank you for doing what you do.
Excellent. A couple more quick questions.
Sure.
Price of fuel. You guys probably buy fuel like months in advance and store it in big tanks. Are you seeing are you taking advantage of the recent price drops?
Yes, absolutely. We actually just got some diesel delivered yesterday, but we have two 5,000-gallon tanks to store our fuel, and we've got, aside from this tractor behind me, we've got 4 other tractors running. So we're going and we're covering 1,200 acres of ground up here to put in our rice crop with these 5 tractors. So we're going through fuel, and we certainly are taking advantage of the price. Usually, the fuel or the diesel companies will bring the price up because they know this is a crucial time for us farmers. They know we need it. They know we're going to use it. So this is a very rare occasion that we're getting fuel so cheap. So we're certainly appreciate that.
How quick will you go through that 5,000 gallons of fuel? You figure?
Well, gosh, we have, okay, let me think of it like this. Aside from the 2 5,000-gallon tanks, we have 3 fuel wagons, which are 500 gallons each, and we empty each of those in 3 days. So we're going
Whoa.
in 3 days. In 3 days, we're going through 1,500 gallons of diesel.
Wow. So fuel prices are a big factor in your entire total budget.
Totally. And we may get fertilizer a bit cheaper this year as well. So in terms of inputs, it's looking like it's looking very positive in terms of the lower cost of inputs.
Now, looking through to the rest of the season, first off, your I call them crop dusters, your aerial applicators.
Yeah.
Are there any issues there with them flying for you this year? Everything good green light there?
Good green light. Good green light there. The only foreseeable issue that I would see is if one of them gets sick.
Oh, well,
You know,
because they only have a handful of pilots.
only have a handful of pilots. One goes down, and they're gonna. Maybe that's a
Oh.
wrong term, but if one gets ill and can't fly, uh,
That could
then they
impact the
would be
schedule.
behind.
And
They would
this
make
is
it tight.
this has got to fit on a very tight farming schedule. You have a very tight window to operate in for this application for your seeding.
That's correct. That's correct. The once the fertilizer is down, the irrigation water is on. We want to fly as soon as possible. We want to seed as soon as possible because the pests in the field have a head start. The weeds in the field have the fertilizer, they have the water, they have the sun. They start growing immediately. So once that water hits, they have that much of a head start. If your seeding is delayed, same with pests. We have freshwater tadpole shrimp in here that can knock the baby rice root off once they get larger. That could be a problem because they're growing as soon as the water hits the field. So the pest is a really big issue. Once water hits the field, we want to get our seed on there as soon as possible so it has a fighting chance, so it can mature along with the weeds and the pests.
So then looking further down the road of this year's season, what about the logistics of all the trucking that's going to need to take place later on? Is that just too far down the road for you to worry yourself about right now? Or
Well, it is always, whether it's tractor operators or truck drivers or hiring a trucking service, it's always tight. It's always difficult. Fortunately for us, Pops and I, me being a third generation rice farmer, we have our own trucking infrastructure. We have our own trailers. We have our own trucks, and we have loyal drivers who have come back several harvests. So fortunately, it's nothing we have to stress out too much about, but it can be a stress point because we need the truckers, of course, to deliver the freshly harvested rice to the dryers where they can be stored.
okay, excellent. Let's see. I misplaced one button on here. I hope I didn't screw the whole thing up. And I captured this recording. Dang it. I got all the audio.
Every time I record a video, that's the exact same thing I say out loud, too. Can't wait till I get home to see if this whole thing recorded.
Yeah. Let's see. And then with the there you go, the clods. There's Matt's outstanding in his field right now.
Yeah, that's as big as my head, that dirt clod there.
Got to make those big rocks into small rocks or clods into small clods.
That's right.
And then as far as the storage facilities and that sort of thing goes down the road, that all looks like a green light as well.
It does.
Good.
It does. They've got space. Like I mentioned earlier, all the rice has been committed and sold to mills, so the storage facilities have the space. That's not going to be an issue. What was an issue for us last year and could be an issue for us potentially from here on out, because we are entering wildfire season. The fall during harvest still is wildfire season. PG&E cut electricity on us last year,
Oh, that's
and that
right.
shut the dryers down. They weren't able to receive as much rice per day, and that left farmers shutting down harvest early, which no farmer wants to do. We want to get the crop out of the field as soon as possible in the fall, because we are butted up against fall rains. We can't harvest in the rain. That could lead to potential issues. So that, in terms of the drying facilities and storage facilities, that I can see potentially being an issue again this year and for the foreseeable future as PG&E continues this preventative measures during wildfire season, cutting power off.
Wow. So that's a bigger problem than the coronavirus is our own power issues here in California.
Right. So far, I think with the coronavirus, just as I mentioned with the flying services and aerial pilots, if a crew gets sick, then they'd have a tough time running full throttle. So
Right.
those would be the only issue with the virus, I think.
Okay, well, we got pretty low rates here in Northern California. I don't think that'll be a problem for you. You should be good to go.
Good. Yeah, I feel good to go. I feel real good to go. And as I mentioned, we're just all 5 tractors are running, and all 5 of us operators are self-isolated inside them 12 hours a day.
Yep. Good. All right, we got to get you back in that tractor and back out
That's right.
in your field, man.
I can feel Pops' eyes burning down on me.
Yeah, that's like my other YouTube friend. His dad's always right there. Get off of that dang computer and goofing off on YouTube and get to work.
That's right. I'm talking to JB, Pops.
That's it. Okay, Matt, thanks so much for the update.
Hey, thanks for having me. Thank you for the interest. Take care.
All right, we'll check in with you a little later on in the season here and do another update.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope you can come out and see the crop dusters flying with Petey.
Yeah, let's do that. All right, we'll plan on it. See you then, Matt. Thanks.
Hey,
All right,
bye-bye.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.